Hello everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo with another video for you, and it's part of the genealogy of music, and we're going to be diving into a little bit of arcana that's related to Frank Zappa. Now, I've done a video already about this amazing album that Zappa did with the Mothers of Invention, and that is Cruising with Ruben and the Jets. This was Frank's homage to Doo-Wop, and it is a really amazing album. I've done a video about it. I'll have a link in the down under so you can check that out. But the record did have an impact on many people at the time, and one of them was this fellow who met Frank at a gig backstage, and he said, yeah, I've got this band and we play this kind of music, we like this kind of music, and by the way, my name's Ruben. So that was how Ruben Ladrón de Guevara introduced himself to Frank, told him about his band. Well, eventually, this band, Ruben sort of expanded the band or put some more musicians on it, and they played, it wasn't mostly doo-wop, it was really kind of R&B, but there was some doo-wop elements in there, and they wanted to call themselves Ruben and the Jets, as an homage to Zappa's Cruising with Ruben and the Jets. And so they went back to Frank to get permission to use the name. And he gave that permission. And lo and behold, recently, while I was browsing in a record store, I found a copy. All right, here it is. Ruben and the Jets for real. They actually made two records. But this was their debut. And a lot of good stuff on here. We've got all the different musicians on the back, okay? And we've got Ruben Guevara, here. And then there are also, you've got Jim Motorhead Sherwood, who was with the Mothers of Invention. And then we also got this guy here, Tony Duran, who played slide guitar. That name sounded really familiar to me. Here's the inside of the gatefold. Make sure we don't get any glare. And so Frank produced this record for him, and he actually wrote a couple songs on here. And there is some evidence, too, that he played guitar on the closing segment to the song Dedicated to the One I Love, which was the big hit by the Mamas and the Papas, right? So I'm going to play a couple clips of this. First, this is, just the general song here, but it is, in the second half, and then you can hear some pretty intense guitar playing going on. And there are some who say that that is Frank, and there are multiple sources that say that, but there are also a few people who were there and who dispute that it was not Frank playing guitar. But anyway, give it a listen.
This is dedicated to the one I love.
So, it kind of sounds like Frank's style of playing. But then as the closer, or as the closing of the song goes in, we get some more kind of like some talk back and forth between the guitar player and Ruben, which is really, really nice, where the song closes. Give a listen to this portion.
This is dedicated. This is dedicated. This is dedicated. This is dedicated to the one I love.
Nice, really nice stuff, right? So, yeah, I mentioned Tony Duran here. And I was like, gosh, I know that name. Where have I heard that name? Well, Tony Duran had recorded with Frank on several albums, okay? So, Ruben and the Jets, the For Real, was released in 1973. But prior to that, all right, Tony Duran had recorded with Frank on a few others that were, released a year earlier. So, for example, he played on Waka Jawaka. Got a Japanese pressing of that. I have a couple pressings of this record. So he was on Waka Jawaka, and then he was also on the Grand Wazoo, okay? And then he was also on Apostrophe, all right? So, I'm like, okay, now I know, now I remember where I heard the name Tony Duran before. He also appears on some posthumous live albums. Imaginary Diseases being one, which was the Petty Wazoo tour. I have that on CD. But he was also on Zappa Wazoo and the live album One Shot Deal and the live album Little Dots. Sadly, and perhaps a bit coincidentally, or even ironically, Tony Duran also died of prostate cancer in 2011. So there we got another, a connection, with Frank, although not necessarily a happy connection. But anyway, yeah, so from 1972 to about, maybe 74, somewhere around there, Tony Duran was part of the backing band that Frank had put together for some albums, and then he was also part of the Grand Wazoo and Petty Wazoo ensembles. So yeah, that's where I heard that before. So this certainly is a bit of an arcane gem. I've never seen the other album that they released. For Real was 1973, and then a year later they released the record Con Safos, and they didn't make a lot of money. They played a lot of gigs, but apparently they were mostly publicity and charity gigs. They didn't play many for money. And eventually the band, did disband. But anyway, very cool that I found this, and listening to it as well, it is really, really great song. It kind of like went under the radar in terms of music reviews, but this is a solid album. They do a song Charlena rather than Charlena, and a couple of the songs in here, Frank helped with the writing and the arranging. So, for example, they do some covers here. Okay, If I Could Only Be Your Love Again was the opening track. That was written and arranged by Frank. Then there's dedicated to The One I Love, which is by Lawman Pauling and Ralph Bass. So it's a Jets arrangements, and so that's where Frank might have played. Show Me the Way to Your Heart, which was written by Tony Duran and arranged by Tony Duran. Then there's the song Sparky, also written by Tony Duran. And then the closer on side one is Wedding Bells, written by Robert Frog Camarena and arranged by Tony Duran. So then on side two, we've got the Chuck Berry song, Almost Grown. Then the song Charlena, which was written by Manuel Chavez and H. Cheney. Then number 3 and 4, these are songs that were written by Ruben Guevara, but also Frank helped with the arranging and also some of the songwriting. Maman Flash, and then Santa Cari. And then the song Spider Woman, it was written by Tony Duran and Robin Guevara, as well as Paul Hoff and Lonnie Scott, arranged by Tony Duran. So you can see Tony Duran definitely left a significant footprint on this. And then the closing song is All Night Long, which was written by Harris Woody. All really, really great songs. So if you ever see it and you like R&B and doo-wop and you enjoy Frank Zappa, definitely you got to pick this up. So yeah, he did a lot of he produced this for them. He did not produce, I don't believe he produced the second album, Con Safos, but he did produce this one, and apparently he did play on it. So there you go. Great record. If you see it, snap it up. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. And this one is pretty good shape. I mean, the cover, the sleeve has got some, a split at the bottom. It's kind of in rough shape, but the wax itself is really good. So you should be able to find a pretty decent copy of it. Hope you enjoyed that. I will have links in the Down Under to the original Cruising with the Ruben and the Jets, to that video, as well as my Frank Zappa playlist. And then always remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.